Go. Welcome. Why are you shouting? That's our welcome to the Steve and John show. How's that? Did we get it right this time, ladies and gentlemen?
Hello.
Welcome back, everybody. This is our official first show.
Yeah.
We're still working on the chemistry between us.
Very
and we
hard.
hope you enjoy what we have to say. Okay, also one big disclaimer. We may be kidding around through most of the show with jokes and laughing.
No, not at all.
But I want you to know all the topics you are about to hear are quite serious and important. Thank you. Okay, let's touch upon Steve. Not upon Steve. Let's
Could
touch
you
upon
rephrase that?
Steve. Let's touch upon the coronavirus update within the borders of the state of Israel. Would you like to give us that little
Well,
info?
I personally think that it's blown up a bit out of all proportion. I think the situation is not as dangerous as they would want us to believe. I think that now they're taking the tack that they use in England of going after the economy as opposed to the health issues. And I think they're addressing the economy more seriously now than they were before, because they realise this is the future of the country. The fact that a few unfortunate people have died, not many, is not so important as the fact that the economy must carry on and must be strong. What do you think about that?
No, well, I agree with you, excuse me, in most aspects, though I'd have to disagree with you that the Brits were way behind the curve and very late to react. So I don't think one should compare the readiness and the actual performance of the state of Israel as compared to the Brits. Nothing personal.
Can I take it?
No. You can take it personally.
Could I take issue with you on that particular point?
You may, but Boris Johnson was faking his sickness while the numbers were climbing like crazy so he can hide. It's all fine and good.
Yeah, but Britain, which has 5 times the population of Israel, needed their economy to be strong from the start. And I think that was their main fear, that if their economy failed in England, the whole country would collapse.
Okay.
Israel isn't in quite the same situation.
So let me ask you a question. Anyone who's been out and about through the major cities of Israel, whether it be the beaches, restaurants, cities, anywhere,
Schools.
they've noticed since they have relaxed some of the restrictions, there have been a lot more people taking freedom within those rules. For example, I would say that 75% of the people I see, and even a higher percentage of the youth I see, are not wearing masks and not protecting themselves. What is that all about?
Well, this is not just Israeli mentality. First of all, young people certainly less likely to wear masks than older people. This is one fact. And if you looked at the weekend at Nahanga and the discos that were going on there, trans discos and God knows what.
What's a trans disco?
Well, for you old people who don't know what a trans disco is, that's where they play trans music. Trans is a type of music which is very fast and loud.
Trans music, or is it for trans people?
No, we're talking music. We're in the music.
Okay. I'd like to make a point here that, you know what? There's something called law enforcement, which is what they use in the States quite a bit, and then versus policing.
Yeah, but
now Israel has an issue that they don't enforce the laws.
But if I may interject here,
you do anyway if I say it no.
I want to interject very quietly and very gently.
Rock me gently.
In Vietnam, which is a very interesting country with 100 million population.
Right.
Okay. Who are very near the mainland of China, and every year, every week or month, I don't know, they get 5 million visitors from China.
Yes.
Okay. When this whole thing started in December, they closed their borders, and people under fear of death by policemen walking around execution were put into quarantine.
Is that true?
This is true. And that's why in Vietnam, with a population of 100 million, there were maybe 100 cases of corona. Nothing. Why? Because they live in a police state. Now, please don't say you suggest that's what should happen here.
No, I said law enforcement versus policing. If people violate the law, that affects the rest of the population, they should be fined and they should be accounted for. Their actions should be accounted for. But as we all know, here in Israel, as the Israelis say, the laws are just suggestions.
No, I don't agree. I think, look, if you look at traffic, road traffic.
Yes,
if you
let's look at
people-
road traffic.
All right, people
but
are
this
driving
is a tangent that's off our course and our planning today.
No, wait a minute.
Okay,
Let's
if
go
you want
into
to
it.
be
Let's
a
go.
civil engineer, go right ahead.
Let's go that route, because if you take driving and roads,
Yes.
and you see how many accidents and how many senseless deaths there are on the roads in this country, and how much policing there is, and how much law enforcement there is on the roads, there's tons of it. There's all
I
over
don't
the place.
see many.
God, there's all over the place. They've got
Are you
cameras.
serious?
Cameras.
Are you
and they've
serious?
got radar and
Are you
lasers.
serious?
I'm very serious.
You can't be.
I am. And how can they use those same tools for the corona thing? They can't.
How about this? How about this? You put a cop on the sidewalk of a major artery of commercialism, and all you have them do is ticket people who are not wearing a mask.
No, but
Now wait a minute. Will you let me finish? How many times do you think it's going to take for the person who gets fined to learn to wear a mask? And wait, how about the cell phone issue when they started fining you if you were using your phone while you were driving? As a matter of fact, it was so successful at 1,000 shekels as a fine, it went up to 2,000 shekels as a fine. One, it's a nice windfall for Israel, and two, most people think very carefully before they use their phone. I'm just saying, if you don't enforce the law, the selfish, sleazy a-holes amongst us are going to do things that is going to be beneficial to them and inflict problems to the rest of law-abiding citizens.
Okay, well, this
and that note, we will move on to the next topic if we may. Unless you have something important.
No, of course
Do
not.
you have something important?
No,
Okay.
go on with the subject.
Let's move on to the violence in America. Now, you're obviously a Brit, not an American, but I know you for quite some time now, at least 6 months to a year. And you are aware of things going on. Now, I don't know what's going on in Britain with this situation, but in America with this, what's his name that was shot, this Lloyd, what was his first name? George Lloyd, not shot, he was strangled to death by a cop. All the issues are not quite in the open, which is a horrible thing any way you slice it, okay? Because the guy didn't look like he was endangering anybody. I mean, can you only imagine, God forbid, in Israel, if that was an Israeli soldier doing that to a Palestinian? The world already would be out with the condemnation that you wouldn't believe. Okay, they've already blamed Israel for training.
Let me just
for
put one
training the police in America in riot control.
If an Arab would have been shot by an Israeli soldier, would there be rioting? Would there be looting? Would there be burning?
Yes.
First of all, here's the problem with the looting. They don't have all the updated models in the Arab villages, okay? Like the TV screens, okay? They have some of them, but they're not the 2020 models. The I don't know, the electronics are not the updated models, so it's not as important to loot. Plus, the fact is, in the Arab neighborhoods, they would get shot and killed by the police.
But the first thing would happen is you'd see all the terrorist attacks begin. You'd start to see the stonings and the stabbings. That's the history. One Arab gets touched and they start attacking everybody all around.
Which is true, but that is an isolated area. In America, we're talking about some 50, 60 major cities that are being looted and torched and policemen being attacked and things going out of control and businesses being destroyed. In Israel, it is an issue, but it's on a much smaller scale, and it's more easily contained.
I think it's been exaggerated a lot, this whole black thing. Unfortunately, I'm going to tell what I feel here, and I really do feel that I've sympathised with the blacks. I've sympathised with anyone being shot. It's a terrible thing. But to have
He wasn't shot, by the way. He was strangled.
or strangled,
Knee on
whatever.
the
He
throat.
was. I think.
Well, we have to get
his
the
life-
proper reporting. Otherwise, we're not legitimate.
His life ceased. Okay, by at the hand of some policeman.
It was a
whatever.
knee on his throat. No hand.
Okay, but anyway, the long and the short of it is that I think that the reaction to that was totally and utterly exaggerated.
By?
By the blacks rioting and looting, and also not just that, but the soft, chinless.
Chinless? Is that like spineless?
Yeah, spineless.
Chinless?
All those people in America who put up these black pages on their postings on Facebook and everything, and who beating their chests out of sympathy for them all. Come on. You know, why is everyone sympathised? Why doesn't anyone sympathise with other people in the world? Why didn't they show the same sympathy for Syrian women who are being raped?
By the way, sorry, but you don't have to go that far. You know how many blacks are killed by blacks in Chicago on a regular basis?
Okay.
I don't see any protests when they're murdering blacks and when they have drive-by shootings and 3-year-olds and 2-year-olds are being shot as they sit on the stoop to get some fresh air in the tenements they live in the most dangerous neighborhoods because of all the...
Just the same as all the Arabs who are being shot and killed because
It is not the same thing.
No, in our country, by their own people in places like Tiber and El Fahim and all those places where they have murders practically every day.
Well, that's gang-related situation.
Okay,
so similar to Chicago. No, obviously, if a subhuman kills another subhuman, no one really cares. It's only when a human kills a subhuman that everybody gets all upset. That's who started it. It was the police department versus
Go on, carry on.
versus this person who they caught. The police department caused his death after natural causes.
Police officer, not the
A police officer, but there were a group who did nothing to stop it, in all fairness.
Stop it now.
And it's their job also not to allow unlawful acts, even if it's committed. Okay, that's not the question
Can
that
I
I'm
make an
asking.
observation? I want to make a little observation.
Your last observations have put you in the penalty box for a while. You're not allowed to
Let me
speak
make
for
a
5 minutes.
very small, minute
You're
observation.
in the penalty box.
Let me make a little observation. I think that of all the people in the world who have heard about all this rioting and everything, maybe 10% of them, at the most, know exactly what happened with this guy George who got killed, how he got killed.
That's
where
not
he
a
was killed.
proper observation.
All right, sorry.
Maybe 10% care
I
that
don't think
he
they
was
know.
killed
People
and might
know.
be the reason for the protests. But more than 10% know about the whole
It's hysteria.
situation.
It's hysteria.
And now you're going off point. Yes.
Okay.
Loud so we can hear you, please.
How come you think that they are rioting if the police officer was already sentenced to prison?
He wasn't
and
sentenced. He
fired
was
death-
charged.
Charged with manslaughter, life. and-
3rd-degree murder.
Because that's the behavior. Rodney King all over again.
Oh, wait a minute. So you justify the rioting?
So that should carry on.
So
It should-
this is a pattern of behavior.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Is it
Why
fair-
were they rioting?
Is it fair to say it's only blacks? Only when it happens to blacks it happens?
No.
I'm
Why?
trying to understand why they're writing it.
Justice was served for this person who.
No, because the people who are protesting the police action, they are protesting properly. Then they bring in these thugs, George Soros and his likings, pay the Antifa and other, I won't call them subhumans, other lowlifes to come to these cities and wreak havoc. Those are the ones who are causing the fires, and then it's the mob mentality. And
Wait,
what the hell?
hang on.
I saw a picture in the newspaper or a video of a woman in Philadelphia who looked like she was well dressed, a young girl with a mask on her face, with a shopping bag from a nice store, just walking out with stuff.
Hang on 1 second.
Now, you would never
remember-
dream that would be a person who would be involved in such kind of looting.
Do you remember not so very long ago
No, I
there was some rioting in Israel? And do you know what caused that rioting in Israel? An Ethiopian being
was
shot
killed.
was
Correct.
killed.
What's your point?
My point is that there's something very odd about an Ethiopian rioting and looting and God knows what else they did and burning tires and burning cars and blacks in America burning cars.
This is not a comparison
All right, I'm just making a
between
point. I'm making a
blacks in America and Ethiopians in Israel. There's a bit of an innuendo there that I'm not quite sure you were trying to hide properly. There was no looting by the Ethiopian community in Israel. There were demonstrations.
Oh, come on. There was
No looting.
Fire. They
No
burned stores.
looting.
They smashed windows of stores.
I don't know about that.
They did.
Do you see the massive
Blocked
looting?
traffic, they smashed
Same
windows, and
situation,
everybody.
and just because they're Ethiopian and Jewish, we're not going to let them get away with that either. But it's the same situation.
Was it happy hour today at work?
It is now.
Okay. All right. Well, I just like to talk about the problems that Jewish institutions are having due to the violence. In Minnesota, in Los Angeles, many synagogues have been defaced. And
Is that right?
yes, smashed, and there are other institutions where they're going in there and they are threatening Jews and
Do you know,
calling
this
for.
amazes me. I'm sorry, this amazes me.
Yeah.
How? Who are our enemies? Blacks are our enemies? Blacks?
I know we haven't done enough. Supported them.
What is this? It's crazy. And
No,
all the
because,
Jews in
by the
America are
way-
Democrats and liberal, helping the Jew, helping the blacks.
Is it not similar in Israel? Who are the ones protesting for Peace Now and all these other organizations for the poor Palestinians who have their homes being destroyed, which is not true. They're Jewish people. Okay? They've lost their direction. It's like a third generation of rich, bratty Jews who, by the way, they don't have to worry about work, so they go out and protest, and for them to feel the guilt for having everything they have, they want to reach out to all the poor, down and out people. But this is criminality, folks. And even on a political level, the governor, Cuomo, from New York is siding with the poor people because they're so frustrated with the way their lives are. I got to tell you, I've been up and down in my lifetime, and I've been frustrated. I never went out and smashed a window and stole a TV, and there were times where I needed a TV. But I didn't think smashing a window and taking one out was the way to go.
I think this was a backlash. This was a backlash.
What's a backlash?
This whole thing was a backlash to the launch of that rocket to the moon, to the space station. I really think
Yes.
people are against all that money being spent on that space station.
No, first of all, it was private money. Second of all, it's because
half of it was
the
private money.
Jews are setting up
A shul?
illegal
Shuls?
settlements on the moon.
On the moon?
That's
You're
why.
kidding me.
That's why when people go to the moon, the world gets upset. By the way, now that we're on this situation with, I know we weren't going to bring this up necessarily, but we'd have to let's skip that. Let's talk about the phenomena of the facts coming out due to all this violence and all this problems we have from Corona. The applications for Nefesh B'Nefesh, which is the organization that helps people
Settle in Israel.
live their dream of making Aliyah to Israel,
Yeah.
have said that during the month of May, their applications for Aliyah have basically doubled.
Well, okay, I don't know how much credit you can give to that. Who knows what happened in March, and who knows what's going to happen in June, and who knows what happened in February. Maybe the figures are much lower. But it's nice to see an encouraging figure like that once in a while.
So you obviously read it the wrong way, because the way it should be read is, due to what's going on in America, there are more and more Jewish families that are concerned that
What's going on in America?
the violence, the anti-Semitism, listen.
No. I'm hoping that's right. I think that's the reason, and not the fact that they're running away from Trump. I'm serious.
Those Jews
who
are
are
not.
these Jews? They're
No, by the
Democrats.
way, no. Those Jews are not running away from Trump.
I
The
hope
Jews who'd like to make Aliyah are not running away from Trump. 80% of them are probably pro-Trump. You don't run away from Trump to move to Israel. You can make Aliyah because Trump has recognized Israel's rights to have a united capital and to start their sovereignty over the Jordan Valley.
But you think
and maybe
America is
over the
becoming
sea.
a violent place to live in? And it's becoming very anti-Semitic. You
Oh,
think that's true?
absolutely. There is no doubt.
Really?
There is no doubt.
was thinking-
I mean, it's like me asking you in Britain, is anti-Semitism on the rise or
No,
not?
I don't think it is. No.
Oh, they just can keep statistics better? Is that
I'm
what you're
serious,
trying to
I'm
tell me?
serious.
Jay?
I think things are.
By the way, how much of this show will we be editing out so we know
We
it?
have to see if we can actually edit it.
Okay.
That's one. Next week, Candace will be here.
Oh, really? You told her? She's missing the show?
We've done 21 minutes so far.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand something. I'm being very serious now. Steve, let's be very serious.
I'm listening.
We need your input and feedback. We need to know what you want us to talk about. We need to know if there are things in this country, in Israel, that concern you more than others. And we need to know how we can make the connection with the Jews of the diaspora better, not by appeasing our enemies, by just explaining Israel's position better. On that note, I'd like to say
Quite
good
right.
evening. And Steve, please
evening.
take it away.
Please take what?
Take it away.
Oh,
Take it away.
good evening, everyone.
No,
it was fun being with you.
I'm so glad we have this.
Dun, 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 dun.